How's it going, movie fans? My name is Jonathan. I am a man of movies, and this week's episode of the podcast, I was able to have one of my best friends, Danny, on, and we talk film in depth. We get into Arrival, we get into Dune 2, Madam Web. We even touch on some Marvel and Star Wars topics, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and let's get right into it.
Good morning, Vietnam. Yes, sirree.
Testing.
Guatemala watermelons, Guatemala watermelons, Guatemala watermelons.
Have you seen Good Morning Vietnam?
I've only seen that one scene where
The Robin Williams Good Morning Vietnam scene?
That's all I've seen. I've never seen anything else.
You know where I saw that scene from?
Where?
You remember the Great Movie Ride at Disney?
Yes.
At the very end, they had the montage of like the best movies ever made, and they had that scene from Good Morning Vietnam. And as a kid, I used to think, man, I wonder where that movie's like, what that movie's from. Like, what's the title of that movie? I mean,
Did they ever tell you where those scenes are from, or they just show random scenes with no context?
It's random scenes, no context, kind of just these are the best movies ever made, and then they had a whole bunch of different scenes. Like Charlie Chaplin was in it,
of course.
Good Morning Vietnam, obviously. They even have Nightmare on Elm Street.
They had that playing in a Disney
park,
and this
bro.
is before Disney owned Fox and all those rights.
Wait, but that's not even funny. That's New Line Cinema.
Does Disney not own them yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
almost.
Give it until the end of the day. We're gonna hear.
Yeah, I think it needs one more Friday the 13th flop.
Yes.
And Disney will buy them.
Well, with the way movies are coming out these days, just remakes and rehashes, I'm pretty sure next week we're gonna see a trailer for it coming out. Just give it time and it's gonna come out.
We've been like having rumors of a Friday the 13th movie coming out, and there's just nothing that comes out of that.
And by movie, you mean a single one? Because for those type of movies, you really want to search it as much as we can for the IP. Is it going to be a Halloween situation where one's announced, but it's actually a trilogy?
A requel,
a prequel. Maybe it's a reimagination.
Maybe it'll just be about Pamela Voorhees the whole time.
You know what?
You know Hollywood loves female leads, bro.
At this point
and then she won't be a bad guy, for real.
Oh, maybe she'll
misunderstood.
She's killing the patriarchy instead.
Bro.
You know, this will be a great twist.
She killed Jason.
You know what?
Her own son.
She killed Jason. That's true. And if the final, instead of having a final girl in this movie, it's a final boy who survives at the end, that will break stereotypes.
Who would you cast as the final boy?
Well, someone who's young and hot right now. Ooh. By hot, I mean someone who's very popular in demand. So probably Finn Wolfhard, of course.
Oh, that's not bad. You're going to say Timothée Chalamet, but they kind of all look the same. They look like a Pokemon evolution.
Pretty much.
Tom Holland, Timothée Chalamet, Finn Wolfhard.
They're all different stages of the same actor. I think they're all the same actor.
Yeah, they're all the same actor.
We're all going to get news in 2074 when one of them passed away. The other ones are not going to be in those movies anymore because they were all the same person, just with various makeups and disguises.
What? There's my phone. I was looking for my phone this whole time. I was like, what the heck? Yo, Danny, let's get this podcast rolling.
Yes, sir.
Even though we were just getting it rolling. I asked this for the first episode, and this is going to be a hard one. I don't even think we're going to have one. I think we're going to have just stories. A shared movie memory amongst us.
Yes.
Which is crazy because we've been friends for, I think it's going on 13 years.
Yes, sir.
If we had a child 13 years ago, they'll be ready to go to high school.
Oh, God. And I still don't have his college fund yet ready. Oh, Lord.
So since those 13 yees, bro, is there one movie memory that you have that you remember? Even though we go to the movies all the time?
Yes.
What's one that you remember?
One that's the most vivid for me that I'm going to that you usually bring up a lot, and if for some reason is always in my mind, is when we saw Hellboy, the reboot of Hellboy with David Harbour. I mostly remember because of the experience around it and how it was more fun eating around it and pre-watching the movie. Because sometimes you watch a movie, no matter how bad it is, you get to bring some joy out of it. But for a lot of it, the most of the fun was before we saw the movie. Because after we saw the movie, all I remember was like, man, I'm never going to get that time back in my life.
No, I don't really remember David Harbour's Hellboy that much. It's the experience before because we went to Ale House and we ate. And to this day, it's the most I ever ate at a Ale House with you. And it was so bad that I remember as you're driving and I'm going, I'm going to throw up. And so we're sitting down watching Hellboy and I'm going, this is it. Not only is this movie horrible, I'm going to throw up, bro.
And kudos to you to holding it in even after watching that movie.
I swallowed it back.
You did, and I'm pretty sure that the movie tasted worse than that swallow. I'm pretty sure because that was a movie that I always thought to myself, every film has its purpose.
Yeah.
Whether it's to make money, to entertain, to tell a story, to convey a message. But this one was one of the movies of all time. When people say that was a movie, I think to myself, yeah, that was a movie, and I could have gone either way. I've never seen it again. If you could use the Men in Black neuralizer to make me forget a movie, I will probably pick that movie because it had no redeeming qualities.
So wait, what is it that you said? It's not one of the best movies. It's not one of the worst movies. It is one of the movies of all time.
It's one of the movies of all time. It has no redeeming qualities at all. And we have seen some great movies that shook us to our core.
Yeah, we
have seen movies that it was so bad that we couldn't stop making fun of it. We were just digging for that goal, trying to find some redeeming quality. Yeah. But this movie was just something that it was just
one of the movies.
It was a movie. It was almost like a money laundering scheme. It felt like.
Yo, it did.
They needed to get this money from the cartel. They need to wash it. So we'll put it in Hellboy. Just get David Harbour. He's hot right now from Stranger Things. Put him, root, and just ship it. And they did it. Yeah. And no one is the best for it.
They were supposed to do a sequel to that. Do you remember?
You're lying.
The post-credit scene was what's the Sapien?
With Abe Sapien, yes.
That's his name?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure it was gonna have the original actor who played him in the original Hellboy movies. I'm glad that did not happen.
It's the guy that did Silver Surfer, right? I forget his name.
He's a prolific motion cap actor. He also did The Fish and the
Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water as well. Yeah. He is a very prolific actor. You see an anthropomorphic type of fish, alien, monster hybrid. If it's not CGI and it's not played by the Golem actor, I'm forgetting his name right now.
The Gollum actor, he plays Caesar.
Yes. And also King Kong as well.
He played King Kong as well. I forget his name. Andy
Serkis. If it's not played by Andy Serkis, it's by this man right here who is. Yeah. We have never seen his face. It's always behind makeup.
But it always kind of looks the same.
Yes. He acts. He has these specific mannerisms. Yeah. Which is interesting because I've never even heard of his name, but I'm pretty sure he's done tremendous work outside.
I know his name. It's somewhere in my brain. It's like that SpongeBob episode of him going through the files. Like, where's the name? Where's the name?
That is exactly. And he's probably done some small TV roles. Maybe he's done some other movies that we have never heard of. But yeah, I'm glad he was not dragged into that monstrosity of a second movie. If it was made, which it was not, which it proves that Hollywood doesn't believe in God because they want repentance. And they said, how can we do better? Oh, yeah, let's just can this movie right here.
That's hilarious, bro. That's a good one, though. We have so many. I think we could have a whole podcast of all the movies we've seen, all the experiences behind it. But Hellboy always goes down as one because every time we go eat and we get full, we just think about, man, I hope this movie is not the next Hellboy. This is going to be a horrible experience if that's the case. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Danny, let's move on to your favorite movie of all time. What is it, man? It's a hard one.
It's a hard one, but I had time to think and mull it over. And then I realized I shouldn't have to think about my favorite movie. Just what comes up to my mind as a movie that I will want someone to watch, that I will want them to experience for the first time they never have. And that is Arrival. Denis Villeneuve's Oscar-nominated and Oscar-winning movie that came out in 2016, starring Amy Adams and Hawkeye. I believe that movie is... We always talk about movies that got us into film, that made us see movies as films. And I wouldn't say this is that movie for me. I will say that this movie is a movie that made me respect film and take it seriously as an art form. It came out when I was about 20 years old, 19 turning 20. And I remember seeing that movie with you. Yeah. And we were... how would I say, we were pretty much shocked because of the review at the end. It was an experience watching that movie. Yeah. Very few movies where we didn't talk to each other at all. We didn't look at each other. We were invested because during bad movies, during hype movies, we tend to look at each other and be like, oh my God, this. So we tend to joke around to make the experience better. But I remember that this whole movie, I was only fixated in the screen. I was only fixated in the world and the characters, in the enveloping story of Amy Adams' character, Louise, and how she discovers what these aliens want. And for anybody, film student, Denis Villeneuve is the new Stanley Kubrick. He is someone who has made banger after banger and made some amazing movies, including this year's Dune 2, which I know we'll talk about later. But for me, what got me completely fell in love with his films was Arrival. And right now,
it's a good one, man.
If you have not seen Arrival, before I spoil it, I want you to take a pause in this video, in this podcast, watch it, and then come back, because I'm about to spoil that movie.
Okay.
It's a movie that you have to spoil in order to explain why it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Arrival deals with the arrival of aliens, and that's what the trailers show, that's what the press shows, but in reality, that's only the backdrop to a story, a very human story of Amy Adams understanding herself, her past, her present, her future, and how it all connects. When she starts to interact with these aliens, when she starts to work with them, because she's a linguist in this movie, and they want her to translate what they're saying, what the message they're giving, she goes ahead and starts to dream about the past, the present, the future, all in one. And as you watch the movie, it becomes a circular story film, or a circular story where if you watch from the beginning to the end, you can watch it backwards or from the end to the beginning in any form of way, and the story is the same. It's one continuous story where you see scenes in the ending.
Kind of like the alien language itself.
Exactly. It's like a circle. It's a palindrome. It's the same backwards to forwards. Mm-hmm. It's a movie that constitutes 2 consecutive watches. I say that because, for those who don't remember, many movies, they start with either a cold open or a prologue, and then it hits the title, Arrival, and then it shows the movie. But no, this movie ends with the title Arrival, because that's when the movie starts. The movie does not start until you finish it and watch it for the second time, and you can notice all the details you've missed, including Amy Adams' character, her dreams, her child with Hawkeye. It is a movie that many people can call it a slow burn sci-fi, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing bad with that. It's more than just aliens and gunships, because there's none of that. The only action scene in the entire movie is when a grenade is detonated in a room. Yes, and that's pretty much all that happens. And it's not very humorous at all. There's not very that much jokes. There's not a lot of levity, but it also has a amazing continuation, amazing score. It has what I will call probably some of the best pacing in the movie, where
for the type of pacing that it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see that movie, and there's going to be sections of that movie where they're showing scenes where you're thinking to yourself, okay, so she's remembering her past and is struggling here. But no, she's seeing her future. Mm-hmm. She sees, when we start the movie, we see her mourning the loss of her child. She's raising her child. She's spending time with her. Her daughter gets diagnosed with cancer, and she passes away. And then we see her in the beginning of the movie as someone who's withdrawn, distant, and very cold to the world. And we are led to believe it's because she's suffering from the loss of her child. But that's not the point. We're seeing is her future. Throughout the movie, she understands that what she's seeing right now, the gift that the aliens gave her, is a gift of connection. She can connect to her past, she can connect to her future, and she can connect with others around her like she's never had before. And her job is to make others understand it. Her job is to make sure that we understand that these aliens want us all to work together to solve a bigger issue. But that's only the backdrop. That's what I feel amazing. It's a backdrop to a movie about the human connection, about understanding time and appreciating time and accepting loss when we have it and not fighting against it. Because at the end of the movie, she shares her story. She shares her memories with her future husband, Hawkeye, who's actually named Ian, but I keep calling him Hawkeye because that's what we all know him as. But she ends up sharing his story with him, and she says something that really caught me off guard, which she said, the first time they hug, and she says, "I forgot how good it is to be held by you." And this is the first time
they ever
hugged in this movie. And when it ends, it invites you to watch it again and to fully put all the pieces together, because this movie is like playing a puzzle. You don't have all the pieces right away.
Yeah, I can see that. I think also Denis Villeneuve does a way better job, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but Christopher Nolan does very similar things with his movies, with time and all that type of. I honestly think in this one movie, Denis Villeneuve did better than Christopher Nolan in making me understand what exactly is happening. and making me feel like I'm smart, while Christopher Nolan is like, actually, I'm smart and you're stupid. And I'm watching Tenet going, yeah, I think you're right. I think I am stupid because I don't understand what the heck is going on. But Denis Villeneuve is like, no, listen, you're not stupid. I'm going to make you understand what's happening. This is what's happening. You go, wow, what a piece of art type of film. I remember watching that movie back in 2016 with you, and I remember thinking the same thing. That movie ended up being my top 5, I believe, of the year. So freaking good. Denis Villeneuve, bro. What can you say? Honestly. Danny boy. I feel like we could honestly just cut that out and finish the podcast because that was an amazing review of Arrival. I appreciate that, bro. But with that being said, we got some other segments to get into. And this one that we're about to get into, Danny, is one I like to call Trailer Roundup, baby. And we're going to talk about some trailers that came out the last few weeks that I haven't touched on yet. And the first of which being Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, one of the things that we're also we have in common is our love for superheroes. Yes, sir. And sometimes how disappointed we are in superhero stuff.
And that's becoming more and more prevalent these days, as we can say. And I don't want to be one of those people who says, oh, Marvel's dead. After Endgame, it should have ended. I feel like there has been some good movies that came out after Marvel and some other quality films. But right now, we are definitely in a rut when it comes to superhero movies from both Marvel and DC. I feel like we're soon gonna start to get more in the superhero movies like Kick-Ass and a rebirth of that again, where
that'll be so cool.
They're going to turn the current genre of superhero, the current structure upside down, and it's gonna start revolution. And I feel like someone who really helped solidify that was Deadpool. Now, we haven't seen Deadpool appear in a while, about 5 years, correct, if I'm wrong?
Oh my goodness, maybe.
I believe since like 2018, since Deadpool 2 came out. So it's been a minute. I believe that they've been cooking with this. And I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be, I'm not going to save Marvel. Like in the trailer, he says, I'm Marvel Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's the case in this scene. And
that'll be really
the resurrection of Marvel. But I believe this movie is going to be the shot in the arm that the superhero genre needs right now. And to realize it's a movie that's not going to take itself too seriously like Marvel has been right now, where they have been a little bit not fun and they've been taking itself too seriously. I feel like it's going to be the type of movie that's definitely going to get us back on track with fun action popcorn superhero movies.
Yeah.
You know, because ever since Endgame, some of them have been taking themselves a little bit too seriously. They've been trying to focus on a specific, it has to be this way. We have a formula and it works. It made us $1 billion. We got to try it now. But as we've seen in the box office, that formula is a little bit stale right now.
The Marvels.
God.
I know. I think Deadpool and Wolverine could be Marvel Studios' version of a Fox film. Does that make sense?
Yes, but are we talking circa 2000s Fox or 2010s Fox?
2010s Fox.
Okay.
Beginning like X-Men First Class Fox.
I'm glad you made the distinction. Yes.
No, not Electro Fox. not Electro Fox.
Not a Dark Phoenix.
Well, that's technically the 2010s Fox, right?
And also Apocalypse as well, yes.
Oof. No. The distinction is definitely First Class Fox.
First Class, maybe Days of Future Past Fox, maybe Logan Fox, maybe Deadpool 1 Fox. I'm hoping as well.
What I love about the trailer is at the very end when they give us the silhouette of Wolverine standing over Deadpool, but don't actually reveal Hugh Jackman, as if we haven't already seen 10,000 set photos.
The most leaked movie of all time, if I would say.
I mean, right behind it were Barbie. I remember Barbie was being leaked like crazy. Yes. But I just laughed because the way the trailer was made is that Wolverine silhouette was supposed to be a surprise. That Wolverine silhouette is supposed to be the moment when you're sitting down watching the trailer and going, Wolverine's in this movie. And you're like, I've been knowing about that for 3 years now, bro.
Let's not forget that they've heavily advertised, the director himself, the actors himself, that they are going to appear in Deadpool 3. Yeah. I believe the only surprise we had was the title, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. We always believed it was going to be called Deadpool 3. Yeah. Let's not forget that this trailer also does something Marvel did with Endgame and Infinity War, where they only show the first third of the movie. They only show the first act and probably the second act, because it's obvious to tell that the editing of this trailer was to do a No Way Home, where they hide stuff. Maybe some stuff is not going to be in the trailer. You remember in Deadpool 2 when we had the scene of him suiting up with all the different superheroes and jump and free falling?
The X-Force?
The X-Force. And we thought it was going to be
with
part
Bob,
of the movie.
Right? It was Bob?
With Bob and Brad Pitt, Invisible Guy, and Shatterstar and Domino and all these different actors. Yeah. Which is funny, but what else?
Did you not see Brad Pitt in the trailer?
He was. I thought it was John Cena. I didn't see him. But the funny thing is that in that trailer, they were heavily implemented, and we believed they were going to be part of the movie. But as a Deadpool would do, they, spoiler alert for Deadpool 2, instantly die. Most of them never touch the ground, and when they touch the ground, they end up dead.
Hilarious. So funny.
This could be a movie where the montage we see in the trailer is legit the first 10 minutes of the movie, and we end up going
like the birthday. You were talking about the birthday?
The birthday, and when he gets recruited by the TVA.
I think that is the first 10 minutes of the movie.
That is definitely going to be. I feel like the movie is really going to start when he meets Wolverine, and they're going to go in a cross multiversial dimension adventure. They even already, I don't know if you paid attention to it, but they've already even announced who the main villain is.
I don't know if they've officially announced it or if this was a rumor, but I remember seeing something on IGN or Screen Crush, and they said that it's going to be Charles Xavier's sister.
In one of those Marvel Deadpool fashion ways, I believe that it's just going to be a what is the word called? A red herring. It's going to be something that you think that's who's going to be the bad guy.
But the real bad guy is the guy that took him in the TVA.
I think it's either going to be that or the real bad guy is going to be the CEO of Disney, who Deadpool's going to replace.
Bro, Bob Iger.
Bob Iger is the final boss.
Oh, my goodness. What about Kevin Feige?
He will be the foil where he will be his rival coming in and out.
That would be hilarious. I think he should do what She-Hulk did, where she goes into the real world. But this time, Deadpool just trashes Kevin Feige for all the crap he's done and that he needs to do better. That would make more sense than getting Bob Iger on there.
It would also, I feel like Kevin will play nice with him, and I feel like it will also, give us more of a hope on him. We had hopes that Kevin Feige was going to be the savior of Marvel, and for a while he was, but
I mean, for a while is putting it lightly. He was a savior of Marvel for more than 10 years.
That's true. Oh man, how time goes.
Yeah,
for 10 years, but after
that's a long time. He proved it. I don't know what's been happening lately, but he's proven. He's proven that he was a savior of Marvel.
He needs to replace that hat that he's always wearing. It's probably the same hat at the beginning. It's probably his lucky hat, but it stinks so bad now that stank is swirling around the writer's room and then it's messing up with the decision. So maybe if he washes his cap, maybe he gets a toupee, maybe he gets hair plugs. Maybe that's how they're gonna win instead of
Hollywood.
Oh, I already know how the movie's gonna end. Spoiler alert! Okay. But I usually am pretty good at predicting movies by the first 5 minutes.
Okay, how's the movie gonna end?
Deadpool is gonna headshot Kevin Feige, but in reality, he killed the hat, and then it's gonna be an alien controlling him all the time. And it was Krang the whole time, and we're gonna cross into the TMNT universe because we announced that this is by Nickelodeon.
Bro, that's better than Transformers and Fast and Furious or whatever it was. G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, hey, they still have time to also cross with Fast and Furious as well. Keep that in mind.
Oof, that could work.
Where there's money to be made, there's ideas to die.
Going on that Marvel train, Danny, we're going to move on to X-Men 97, which is going to be, I think, the MCU's first animated take in their studio, right? I don't think they've done anything. Well, What If? But I don't think What If is under Marvel Animation. I think this is the first show to be under Marvel Animation. I could be wrong. That being said, were you a fan of the original X-Men series from the 90s? Have you watched it?
Okay, this is where I may get a couple enemies. This is where some people may just dislike. But I'm going to be honest. I was not the biggest fan of the X-Men 90s show.
Why?
I was more of a Spider-Man fan.
Oh, I'm with you.
And the only time I would watch the X-Men was when they cross over with Spider-Man or there were episodes they cross over. Not to say it was a bad show. I've actually gone back and rewatched it recently, and I feel like it's a pretty good show. I'm just stating that when I was growing up, I was not the biggest fan. I'm more of a recent fan that started appreciating for what it was and for what it did for superhero TV shows, for the amazing theme song, which blows everything out of the water, which, of course, they had to reuse in the trailer. Like, come on. The thing that got me a little bit worried right now is that we have different voice actors for the roles, Cyclops and Wolverine are not the same ones.
Really? I don't think that worries me too much.
And right now, if you watch the show, they have such great cadence. And some people, their ideal version of Cyclops, who they know, and it's not from the comics, it's from the 90s TV show, who was a great character compared to how they treat him in the live-action movies. And
even though James Marsden is great as Cyclops, it's just the way they... He's supposed to be Captain America-esque.
Pretty much.
More of a Boy Scout than Captain America.
Exactly.
And he's not really like that in the live-action movies. The live-action movies are basically Wolverine and the X-Men.
And also Wolverine in the X-Men TV show. It's a lot different than how they portrayed him in the Fox movies. But, Hugh Jackman does a great role. He does his own thing with him, and it's amazing. Yeah. And I'm a little worried with the animation style. I don't know how you feel about that.
They're keeping it. It's the same animation style.
It's the same. You're right. It's the same animation style, but some of the quality of it is a little bit iffy in some of the shots they show us. It reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if you remember, but they had those cartoons from the 2000s that was very, it felt like it was almost 3D mixed with 2D.
Oh, like Ultimate Spider-Man. Do you remember that?
Some shots remind me of Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm hoping that was just some of the trailer they showed, maybe in quality in TV. It's going to look better, but I'm still going to watch it. I'm still kind of hyped for it, but I'm a little bit worried that it's not going to maintain the same campiness that original had. It even talked, if you've seen the original TV show, the first episode that I rewatched when I first started watching it was the infamous introduction of Nightcrawler. An episode where it was very, very prevalent. It was made at a different time.
OP, bro, in the series. Yes. I watch him in clips on Instagram. They constantly have him. But he converted Wolverine, bro.
He did. Like, I remember seeing the scene where it was posted on Instagram where Wolverine was praying in a church, and I was like, is this a fan animation? No, it was actually from the 90s cartoon show where the whole point of the show was I was Luke Skywalker, Nightcrawler, who's pretty much like a Marvel Nightcrawler, who's pretty much a Jedi version of X-Men, teaching Wolverine not to hate those who hate him back, but to love them like his Lord loves his enemies. And I'm hoping that they at least don't turn down the character's growth from before. I'm hoping this is because this is supposed to be a continuation. I'm hoping it's not just a revamp completely with the same name with different characters acting differently. I'm hoping that whatever characters they bring back from the 90s,
I think it's going to be a continuation.
I hope as well, and I hope they're not afraid to do touchy subjects like that. I'm hoping they continue to stay true to the characters, but that's what I want most from the show.
And on my end, bro, I'm kind of with you. I was never really into the X-Men just because it was never prevalent in my household. My thing was also the 90s animated Spider-Man. I think, talk about OP. What a show, bro. That's the one they got to bring back. Spider-Man 98. Bring it back, baby.
Unfortunately, Sony still has the rights for that. No. So because of that, they're not even allowed to do a Blu-ray release on it. Unless it's Sony distributed.
I would definitely buy a Blu-ray release of what was it called? The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man or something, right?
Yeah.
Or just Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
It was just Spider-Man?
I believe it was
The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man?
There were so many different continuations of Spider-Man. There's probably one called The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man.
Probably.
And it was probably like from 5 years prior in an obscure channel. But that one specifically, it is the most famous of all the 90s TV shows, even in my opinion, more than Batman. I know some people are going to probably send the SWAT team after I said that, but it was something that introduced a whole generation, including me, to Spider-Man and led to the success of the X-Men TV show as well. Yeah. Even though they have the best quality, the character and the writings, I would want it right now. Even if we don't get a sequel, maybe a redistribution of it with better quality, maybe some redrawn scenes, because it'll be a little stiff sometimes. Yeah. But that doesn't matter. It's still an amazing show to rewatch.
10,000
day.
10,000.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Also, we can also thank that Spider-Man show for the amazing Shocker scene where Black Symbiote Spider-Man goes completely ham, and God bless the voice actor who did Spider-Man in the 1990s.
He got that payday.
He gave his larynx for that role.
I'll chase you to the ends of the world. Yeah,
that is something that lives in infamy.
Shocker.
That is something that's never going to get old, and I'm hoping that they bring that back. I want to see that again. Maybe Tom Holland can.
Hey, Madam Web's in that series too. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Danny boy. Right again. We're still on the Marvel train. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4. The trailer came out.
You're telling me Guardians of the Galaxy from Wish or from Temu. That's pretty much what you're telling me about.
Temu Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was the first
better known as Borderlands.
Now, I have something personal about this because
I know you're a video game guy.
I played the Borderlands games when I was growing up. It's been going on since the 2008, I believe. It's been 4 Borderland games, and they're all about the world of Pandora or whatever world they live in, but it's always about a crazy world full of treasure hunting badasses who have over a gazillion guns, and that's because that's what the game is about. What pisses Hollywood to believe they can attach a bunch of top Hollywood actors and put their faces on top of it and ship it as a movie? I have no clue. They obviously thought we could do our own thing. We're gonna do, we have James Gunn at home type of situation where they're going to have their own Guardians of the Galaxy, but with borderline characters, which have no characters. You put yourself in there. And let's not forget that it's all about the guns. But what was shown in the trailer, their characters. Now, maybe they're doing something differently, but did they have to do the James Gunn route? They couldn't try anything different?
It is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, Danny. They're trying very hard to do that. There's a lot of movies ever since Guardians came out that have been trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Even the Suicide Squad, which is James Gunn, makes sense. At least the creator, the director, made a movie like it. Whatever. I'm able to forgive that. And I really like the Suicide Squad anyway. But to see this, I saw this comment on YouTube. I have no idea how true it is. It cracked me up just how random it was. It said, this trailer looks like Guardians of the Galaxy mixed with Netflix Marmaduke. What does that mean?
That is crazy. I believe they're referring to how they did a reboot of Marmaduke where it looked completely terrible. I think that's why they brought it up.
So it looks like a terrible remake of Guardians of the Galaxy?
More of a ripoff. This reminds me of when we were in school. There was always that one cool guy who had style, who was just
right here.
Cool. Oh, thank you very much. And there's always going to be carbon copies that just fail at it, who don't want to do their own thing, who believe they can gain success by copying what others did. And maybe it was the trailer editing house. Maybe it was the way it was marketed. And it movie won't be like that at all. But boy, did they give that impression strongly with that first trailer, showing some editing, music, shots, very much. Yeah. Maybe when the film actually comes out, it will stand on its own, but it did not help with that type of.
But tell me another movie trailer, Danny, where Jack Black is a robot and he poops out nuts and bolts.
See, I'm pretty sure there actually is one from the 2000s that is very obscure that we do not know about. But it's
really obscure, like Jeremy Renner, huh? He did that movie, The Arctic Dog or something.
Oh,
do you remember that?
I remember that.
They made it for like a penny.
And they probably made 1 penny back.
Hey, there we go. They made their budget back.
That's how it is. And I don't know if this movie will. A lot of this obviously is trying to get two markets at once: the video game player markets, and also the movie market. That's what they have. Kate Blanchett and Kevin Hart and Jack Black.
Erin Greenblatt's making her name out, bro. She was Gamora in Infinity War, and then she was Ahsoka. She was in Barbie, the biggest movie of last year, and now she's gonna be here in Borderlands. And they got Jamie Lee Curtis, and this is my thing. I don't think it looks bad. My issue is how much of a ripoff it looks like.
There is the crux of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look great. It just looks like a already worse version of something that we have three versions of. You can, if you want to watch a movie with a colorful cast of characters with fun weapons and an alien world who joke at each other and yell at each other, you have three different options you can pick from. Yeah. And also a DC
Or if
version.
you want to add in Suicide Squad.
Exactly. You already have four much better versions directed by the person they're trying to copy. You're getting the great value version of that. The only way I can see you watching this is if you are home alone and there is a DVD player and there's two movies and one of them is Borderlands, the other one's Madam Web. I know which one I will pick.
Do you think Jamie Lee Curtis thought she was in Madam Web while filming this?
I feel like she was, because first off, I think she would have played a much better Madam Web.
She looks the part.
Exactly. Maybe she read the script wrong and got confused.
Oh, bro.
That could be the point.
How about this? A movie called Freaky Web. And you have Jamie Lee Curtis and Dakota Johnson and their mother and daughter. And then they go to a Chinese restaurant where this lady has a fortune cookie because they're arguing. She goes, "Oh, cookie?" She gives them a cookie. And she rips the cookie and it says some like lingo about how being in my shoes, this, that, and the other. They switch places. Freaky Friday, but it's freaky webbing.
God. They have to work on different scripts instead of the ones they were originally named for.
That's how you get Jamie Lee Curtis to be Madam Web now.
you know what? That already makes all this a lot more plausible, and I feel like I will pay money to see that than more than I would pay to see.
Who would you cast as the villain
for the
Freaky Webbing?
Freaky Webbing.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll probably have to get the.
Who would the villain be though?
Oh God, see that's the thing, man. I'm around blank here. Well, I think about it. Who would you pick?
I would. You know what I would do? I would go the Spider-Verse route. And I would do an animated villain in live action.
Like Roger Rabbit?
Yeah,
Roger Rabbit?
Bro. That's money right there. You know what I would do?
Who would you pick?
I would do Ezekiel Sims as an anime character. So that way when he talks and the dub doesn't, and it looks horrible, the dub looks horrible, it makes sense this time.
That is the best way to explain what happened in that movie.
We'll get into Madam Web, though.
That's actually you should work as an executive producer for the next movie.
I think I should too.
Honest to God, because I feel like you could have saved that train wreck right there.
Well, that's too far. I think I should be an executive, but I don't think I could have saved that train wreck. Danny, next one we're going to get into is one that I think we've seen like all the movies in theaters. This is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a continuation of the Planet of the Apes franchise that started back in 2012? 2011 with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. All of them were Matt Reeves.
Yes, Matt Reeves directed
Batman's
movies.
own.
And you could tell where he started. You could tell that he got there eventually. This movie's not directed by Matt Reeves.
No, Wes Ball.
Wes Ball, who has had some I believe he did the Maze Runner movies,
correct.
If I remember, and now he's holding up a Zelda movie talking about video games.
Really?
Yes.
Live action or animated?
Live action.
I didn't know that.
He's directing it, and people are very, very scared of that. But I believe that I want to see how this movie turns out. So far, the trailers have been pretty great. It's giving me that sense of the original movies and of the world and the characters. And it feels very nostalgic for early 2010s movies for some reason. Of course, the quality has increased.
I can see that.
But the way that it portrays the story, it takes about a couple of generations after the original reboot of trilogy.
I don't think it's that long, right?
I heard something about 300 years.
No way. I think I heard something like 10.
See, that's exactly where we need more information.
Yeah.
Because apparently the main characters, I've heard it was called a descendant of Caesar.
300 years.
Well, maybe it was 10 years to 300 years for animals.
Caesar's son in the last movie, War for the Planet of the Apes, was Cornelius. Was it Cornelius?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if this is Cornelius or not, because there's a part in the trailer where one of the apes calls him Noah.
Yes. Which obviously a very biblical reference. So
they're all biblical references.
We can already understand what's going to happen soon with that.
Dang.
If I remember correctly, the director said it's a descendant of Caesar. So when I think of descendants, I think of someone who is a couple generations
not his son.
off.
Yeah, it's not even his grandson. Like probably
and we've
far
seen
down
in the trailer how most humans were already devolved. There were just pretty much 8 versions of humans who could only communicate with grunts and other mannerisms. They were not speaking, except for the one special case. So that makes me think that it is probably closer to the original 1970s films where it takes place between them and the reboot. So it's a midway point, and I feel like this movie, I'm not sure if it has been announced to be a part of a new trilogy. I'm not sure if it's just going to be a one-off movie, but I feel like this movie is going to be a connection point from the trilogy all the way to the original Charlton Heston movies. Either way, it looks phenomenal. And I have high hopes for this movie. I have high hopes for the director, and I'm hoping he proves us wrong. But
I don't think the Maze Runners are horrible movies like that anyway.
Not at all.
Do they impress me? No, they don't impress me. But they're not bad.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with him getting his shot somewhere else, and something like Planet of the Apes, and taking it one step further where it's not as close to Matt Reeves' lineage, and making it his own. That makes a lot of sense. I think that could work. Like you, I think the trailer looks great. I really do. I think the trailer looks great. I like the dynamic. My favorite line is toward the end where he brings back the line from Caesar, where the bad guy Proximus, he says, together you will die, and he goes, no, together we are strong. That
scene gave me goosebumps. I have to admit, I'm hoping I hope that's not the ending scene where it cuts to black afterwards and we're gonna set for a sequel.
What would you call the sequel?
So this one is called Kingdom.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Knowing with the word kingdom and some of the names, I believe it was going to be called Fall of the Kingdom of Planet of the Apes.
Oh, no, that would be the third one.
Okay, so this one will be called Rise of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
And then the other one will be Dawn of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
It's synergic. It poetry rhymes.
War for the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
You already have it planned out. I'm hoping that's what they do. If it's just a one-off movie, I'm hoping that they go strong and then make it a 3-hour-long movie, a 3-hour-long epic journey across post-apocalyptic like America where all the apes are running. I'm hoping it delivers in the way that the original Matt Reeves movies delivered, where they were very much character-driven movies with action second, and you felt for the apes even though they were CGI apes, but you could still feel their emotion.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people, I remember a lot of people were pursuing thirst traps of Caesar and saying how
thirst traps of Caesar.
Yes, I remember some people on Facebook posting thirst traps of Caesar. And I'm not saying I want that now, obviously, but I do want them to love his character, love Noah, and love the rest of this new movie. It looks like we have a new orangutan. Every movie has to have an orangutan uncle who is
a wise orangutan
uncle. And I'm hoping that this movie doesn't, for better speaking, throw poop at our face like other monkeys do.
Other monkeys.
Yes.
That's right. Monkeys do that. They throw poop. Yo, Caesar thirst traps is wild.
Yes. I'll show you later and you'll see.
Show me later. I never knew that was a thing. Daddy boy, we're going to get to the last trailer. It's the most recent one actually came out on Friday. And this is, for you horror fans out there, the first trailer for The Strangers, Chapter 1. Danny, I love you for this reason. When it comes to horror, you watch it with me, you enjoy it with me, but you really don't have history with horror because of your childhood, correct?
That is very true.
Harry Potter was not allowed in your household.
For me, Harry Potter was the most horror that I could stomach at the time. And even stuff like The Simpsons and Pokemon were considered horror as well. Anything to the Affront to God was considered horror.
Yeah.
So when I first saw my first horror movie with you as It in 2016, it's a very transformative time for me because that was the official first time I saw a horror movie in theaters.
Yeah.
But after that, I've grown to enjoy and respect horror movies for what they bring, and usually I will not go out of my way to watch a horror movie by myself alone, but if I'm with others, thanks to you bringing me to this world, a whole new horizon is opened up to me of great horror movies that are just using horror as a pilot to tell stories and character pieces.
Exactly.
I don't know how much this movie is going to be a story piece or a character piece. From what I know very little of The Strangers, but I know this is a prequel, correct?
This is a prequel, correct. This is Chapter 1. Just like A Quiet Day, Day 1, this is The Strangers, Chapter 1. Do you know anything about The Strangers? It's one of the more well-known horror movies of the early aughts. And even if you weren't exposed to horror movies, I'm sure you know of The Strangers and the impact of The Strangers and probably the twist ending. And do you know about that?
Only through osmosis, where I've seen multiple versions of them for either cosplays for Halloween. I've seen them in the zeitgeist. I've seen how they inspired other movies, but I have not known about the story or the meaning of it, which is what this reason I want to watch this movie is because it's a prequel, and I've never seen the original Strangers, so I feel like it'll be a great time for me to jump in and get immersed into the universe to see what's going on, and watch the original movie afterwards to see what are the strangers and why are they strangers and why are they in your home and what is the point of attacking people in the house. And this movie, doesn't look the best, but it did its job in making me at least interested into getting into the universe of the Strangers.
Got you. This is the third Strangers movie.
The third movie.
This is the third Strangers movie, and this one's a prequel. Correct? Yeah. So I don't remember when The Strangers came out, but I do remember watching it. Liv Tyler's in the movie.
The original movie. Okay.
The original movie, correct. And spoiler for like a 100-year-old movie. At the end, when she asked them why, like why are you doing this, they say because you were home. Yeah.
Because you were home.
Because you were home.
What does that mean?
Because you were home.
So it wasn't a grand scheme. It wasn't because they did something that hurt them 25 years ago and they're looking for revenge. It was because
you were home.
You were home.
Yeah.
They were just bored and say,
hey, that's a different level of horror, right?
That's terrifying. There's no grand point of it all. There's no vengeance. It's just because
that's The Strangers.
We did it.
And so that's where that legacy for The Stranger started, where the fandom for The Stranger started. A few years ago, the second movie came out. I think it was called Strangers Pray at Night or something. I don't really remember. I remember like some motel swimming pool scene. That's all I remember. I don't think it was very good, but I do know a few people that enjoyed it for what it was, but I don't think it was very good. Now this movie, bro, let's get this started. There is no point to watch this movie.
Why do you say that?
Because just watch the trailer.
That is okay. You're right about that. I did feel like
the whole movie, Danny.
It's a very short trailer. It's about 90 seconds long, but for some reason, watching it, I get the feeling of it must be missing a lot of fluff because I just saw most of the pivotal parts of the movie. Yeah, and I feel like they showed us the ending as well. Yeah, like the last 10 seconds of the trailer was the ending. I'm really tired of Hollywood doing this, especially with horror movies where they show you sometimes all the best scares. Right now, I'm hoping that there is some twist coming along because I know you said the whole twist of the first movie is that there's no twist, but maybe they're gonna surprise us by having a twist on this movie.
I don't think so. No, I say there is no twist. I think the movie's gonna happen exactly how we think it's gonna happen, and this is my prediction. Maybe it's the actual ending, or maybe it's an actual post-credit scene. But we're going to see the stranger's POV as Liv Tyler and I think it was her husband, pull into the cabin. Oh, God. And then the first movie begins.
Oh, God.
Rogue One style. Oh, God.
So they're gonna do that whole version like, hey, psych, we're gonna connect you. What's in the Final Destination 4 did the same thing? We're connected to the first movie.
4, I think it was 5.
Yes, they're gonna do the same thing where they pull
4
up.
was the race car one.
Yes, and at the end they pull up to the airport where the first one happened.
That was in the 5th one. Yes. You remember that? That was crazy. That was a good Final Destination movie.
It was, and I can't believe that they're still making them. Didn't one come out last year, 2022? I could have sworn.
I don't think one came out, but I think one's coming out.
Another one, is it continuing the originals, or is it like a no reboot?
Man, can you continue the originals without? What's his name? Tony? Is it Tony Todd?
Well, Tony Todd did die after the second movie, so the rest of the movies didn't have him anymore.
Did he die after the second movie?
Yeah, he died.
So that was a CGI Tony Todd in Candyman? Nah, because isn't Tony Todd Venom in the Spider-Man 2 game?
He is. I think that was just AI. Oh no! Oh no! You're right. No. I think his character died. Because I remember...
No, because I think his character is supposed to be aphysical. Like, is he really there?
That is true. He's supposed to be the manifestation of death, correct? Or
something like that.
Or the Grim Reaper's messengers. See, talk about a film franchise that had a very cool premise in the first movie about death being cheated, and then it's just got exploited by Hollywood and got milked to death. Yeah. Death came for that franchise, literally, by sabotaging all of the box office options it had. Lord.
Yeah, crazy. Danny, I actually forgot to do all this. Let's run this down and move on. The first one, Deadpool, is that opening night watch, streaming, or are you going to skip it?
That is opening night. You better believe it. I'm going to be there.
Same. What's the second one? X-Men. It's just streaming, or are you not going to see it?
Personally, if it's a bi-weekly release like they're usually doing, I'm gonna wait until all the episodes are available to binge watch it. Yes, I might do the same thing. I'm gonna rewatch the original 1990s show again, and then when all the episodes come out, I'm gonna watch them all in one binge session to see how it holds up.
Correct. Okay, I'm with you then. Borderlands opening night, streaming, just gonna skip altogether.
I'm gonna buy a ticket. And then I'm going to give it to a random person who I hate so they can have a horrible time.
Maybe streaming. Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe.
If it's in a streaming service I already have, and I don't have to download Peacock or Paramount Plus, then definitely.
Let's just say I'll watch it if I have nothing better to do. But if I have to change the oil in my car, I'll just do that.
Yeah, exactly. I'll change the oil in my car, and I'll use my mouth as a lid to catch all the oil instead of watching the movie.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. What do you think?
Opening night.
Same, opening night. And then Strangers Chapter 1.
If I have someone to go watch it with, I'll probably see it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see how are they going to justify this existence.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It could also be a bad, fun, schlocky horror movie. And those are sometimes fun as palate cleansers when you watch Oscar-nominated movies that have come out recently or just boring movies.
I'm with you. I think maybe we'll go see it.
Yes, sir.
But if we can't, I might just not even watch it, to be honest.
I'll watch all the YouTube videos making fun of it online.
Yeah, I just watch the trailer over and over again.
That's you watching slow-mo, watching in 1.5 speed, and you get the whole...
all the Easter eggs. Liv Tyler is in that movie.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
You got to stop at a certain frame, and then you catch her right there.
That's it. Danny boy, we are going to move on to another section of the show that I called, What Have You Watched Lately? This is where you get to tell me, and I get to tell you, what we have watched lately. So, Danny, please do me the favor. And what have you watched lately?
So the most recent thing I've watched has been Dune Part 2. I saw it in the premiere on Thursday. It was a very, very, very packed theater.
Dang, you saw it on Thursday.
It's just after work, a couple of coworkers were saying, hey, let's just go see that movie. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Let's do it. Because I needed something to take off my mind of work. And boy, was that an experience.
Okay.
I know it may be too early to call it, but just like you, I feel like this may be contender of movie of the year.
Oh, yeah.
This movie was another Denis Villeneuve masterpiece. Another reason that he's my favorite current director, and an amazing, amazing character study of the dangers of prophecy and belief, and the dangers of just being a fanatic and not trusting yourself and others, and also.
Bro, just the actual evolution of Paul Atreides as a character. I'm not shy about this, Danny. I don't like the first Dune.
We're talking about the 1970s.
No, Denis Villeneuve's first Dune back in 2021, was it?
Yes, yeah, right during the pandemic.
I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Really?
Yeah, I came out of that movie sorely disappointed, sorely bored out of my mind, thinking this is not even half of a movie. This is half of a movie. This is a third of a movie. And I remember saying in a little video review I put on social media that maybe in hindsight, Dune Part 1, I will appreciate. I remember people saying that about Fellowship of the Ring all those years ago. Like, some people like this, some people did it, but maybe in hindsight, they'll think about it better. Bro, Dune Part 2 blew my freaking mind, Danny.
It is that good.
And this is coming from somebody that didn't like the first Dune. Someone who was like, for the first Dune. Going to Dune 2 with all the hype, and I low-key wanted to be a hater.
You already came in ready to hate.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? All you guys over here saying that this is the best movie of the year, that this is on the level of a Lord of the Rings as original Star Wars, bruh, I can't wait to not feel the same way and to be the different person. To be different. I'm going to feel so cool to going out there on social media going, it's okay. And then that movie ended, Danny, with the close-up of Zendaya, which is not really a spoiler, right? I don't think that would be a spoiler. The close-up of Zendaya, it cuts to black. And I remember going, what did I just watch?
You watch Greatness at Work.
Greatness at Work.
That's what you watch.
Bro.
I had the same feeling when I finished Across the Spider-Verse. We're not done. We're just building up to the ending. It was another one of those movies where they say, psych, we need more money. See you next 2 years. Bye.
Oh, Dune is a big franchise.
Brother, let me tell you this real quick. After seeing the first Dune movie, I understand where you're coming from. It was very slow.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit boring.
It feels like half of a movie.
It is. It pretty much it was, because at first we were told by Denis Villeneuve, I believe towards the marketing of the first movie, that it was going to be a multi-part movie. We didn't know how many parts. At first we thought it was going to be 2. And after I saw the first Dune movie, it got me into the Dune series. I started watching YouTube videos about the series. I started listening to the audiobooks while I was at work. Yeah. Only to realize that there were over close to a dozen Dune books.
Yeesh.
And the first...
That's Lord of the Rings level.
Yes. And what's crazy about it is that it takes about 3 movies just to do the first book. And let me tell you this. This is the first Dune movie.
Even though I think Part 1 and Part 2 is the first Dune book, because he's already doing Dune Messiah.
Yes.
Which is Dune Part 3. And that's not Dune, that's Dune Messiah. So basically Dune Part 1 and Part 2 is the first Dune book, correct?
You're very right.
Okay.
But the thing is that Dune Messiah is even more thicker and more complex than, and without spoiling the whole series for those who want to get interested in you as well.
Yeah.
Right now, what we're seeing if we compare to Star Wars, because a lot of people have compared to Star Wars, but if you listen to interviews from George Lucas, he was inspired by multiple things. One of them including was the original Dune novels by Frank Herbert. This, what we've seen so far, what we're gonna see movie quality wise, is just the first half of A New Hope.
Wow, yeah, it makes sense.
There's so much story left to tell, Jonathan, of the Dune series, of the Dune. I don't know how to. It's not trilogy. There's like 12 books, so I don't know how you would describe the saga. The Dune saga. We're only ever gonna get to the part of New Hope where Obi-Wan dies. And that's not a spoiler.
Dang.
That's not a spoiler what's gonna happen. That's just a specific point of how much we have left.
Gotcha.
After this movie comes out. So I'm including after Messiah. We're going to have so much more. And I feel like if anyone can bring it all in a way Frank Herbert wants, is Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he makes his Lord of the Rings, and not just 3 and out, but he can,
it feels so much more like Lord of the Rings than it does Star Wars.
That is very true. It's like an epic saga about a lot of traveling through deserts and lands. You're right about that. You know, it feels like if all of Star Wars were taking place in Tatooine, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. Man, but Denis Villeneuve did something so different here. I think Denis Villeneuve is like, I gotta make Dune Part 1, but I really want to make Dune Part 2.
Yep.
And you could see it in that movie when you're watching it. It feels like a complete movie. If Denis Villeneuve says, you know what? I'm not going to do Dune Part 3. I low-key would be angry. I low-key would want a Part 3 because trilogies just work.
Exactly.
And I do think there's some answering and some more continuation that we need with certain characters. But it is a completely realized movie, unlike Dune Part 1.
Exactly.
From beginning to end, completely realized.
It's a movie that you can watch also by itself, or you want some context, but it also fits so well perfectly in its own little narrative that you can enjoy for what it is without even knowing anything about Dune. Most people don't know anything about Dune.
On a technical aspect, people praise Avatar every time a new one comes out for its visual effects. Bro, who are these people behind Dune? They deserve the same applause, bro.
Yes, sir. The people behind this movie, when you look at the backdrops, you realize that a lot of it is done with, CGI work. But it's one of the only movies that I feel like, man, these people really traveled to Mars to shoot this, to a Dune planet. It is so well choreographed, so well edited, so well. They know how to use CGI or not to, how to use
cinematography is on another level.
The cinematographer is someone
the color grading, which I don't really look for in films. Even as a film fan, I don't look at color grading like that. And I was looking at the color grading going, especially the Harkonnen planet.
Yeah. Oh, God. The Harkonnen planet is something that's going to be edited to hell until hell comes.
It's going to be like a 2001 Space Odyssey type thing where people are going to study it.
Yes.
And, dang, was there something else I wanted to say about Dune? Man, just well made. Just one of those movies. I said this on Instagram. If you have me on Instagram, check me out. But it is a movie that's going to define a generation of moviegoers.
Yes, sir.
It is, Danny Boy. It truly is.
It's going to be, I don't want to, make it sound dramatic, but it's going to be their 2001 A Space Odyssey. I believe
it's going to be everybody's.
I believe so.
It belongs. Bro, I love when a movie's so good and sometimes, like, you hold it so near and dear, you go, like, that belongs to me now. Denis Villeneuve gave it to me.
We were there when it happened. Denis Villeneuve is our Stanley Kubrick of this time, and I'll say it with a proud face.
He's great.
That he is our generation's our Thor. He and many others have been inspired by the past, and they're not trying to copy it. They're trying to do their own version, trying to build upon it, give it homages, and not run it through the mud. They're doing what they feel in their hearts as writers, as creators, as creatives. And I'm glad we live in this time that they're here making movies and they're in their prime. Yeah. That means we're going to get more of this. So it makes me very happy to be a film goer.
Danny, another movie that we saw this month together, I don't want to touch on yet. I just want to let you know because I know you want to like chew on it already. Save it for last, which is Madam Web. We're going to save it for last. So get that out of the books. We'll get to it. What's something else you've seen?
So another thing I've seen has talk about adaptations. Avatar, The Last Airbender, the Netflix TV show.
I haven't seen it yet just because I haven't had the time.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you seen the original cartoon?
Yeah. I have a weird history with the original cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, I have a weird history because it's very similar to how I feel about the X-Men animated series where it just wasn't in my household. And I never really watched it like that. Every now and then the episodes were on Nickelodeon and I'd watch a few scattered episodes, but never to the point where I would consider myself a fan. And then M. Night Shyamalan's movie came out.
Oh, God.
And everybody knows about that, Monstrosity. I never really cared for it, Danny. And now with this Netflix series, I'm excited for it because I know of the lore and I know how big of a property Avatar: The Last Airbender is.
Huge.
But I just haven't gotten to it. But I will. I just haven't gotten to it. But how is it so far?
So I don't want to compare it to the original cartoon too much because it is trying to do its adaptation, its own thing. But when you realize what they're adapting, it's not a book, it's not a comic, it is a TV show. So it is impossible not to compare it. Now we're not going to compare the quality of it. We're going to compare how they handle their individual aspects. So far, I have to preface this by saying that I am biased because I love the original TV show. I saw it as a kid all the time when it played. Whenever it was on Nickelodeon, I would always stop what I'm doing and watch it. I saw it again when it came out on Netflix as an adult, and I loved it even more because I was able to appreciate how much it respected its audiences, which is mostly kids, but it was not going to sugarcoat it. It was one of those movies, like a classic Disney movie, where it didn't talk down on you and showed you themes of genocide, discrimination, racial tensions, of the balance of power, the ways that people use children in war, and the way that people handle PTSD. And I know that you love Bluey, which also handles some very serious subjects in a smart way.
Super kid-friendly, though.
And Avatar is the same way. You're going to have an episode where Aang and his friends are riding in Appa, the giant air bison, and having fun. And the next episode, they're talking about the indoctrination of the youth into a cult. And it's very heavy, but it's not played in for shocks. Gotcha. And it's handled in a very, very show don't tell way. Some episodes have no dialogue. Imagine watching a kids show when in the 2000s and there's no dialogue, just people talking to
kids
their actions.
Wouldn't watch it.
Exactly. So that's where they have to do a show like this one where they explain everything to you in long, drawn out monologues where they info dump everything that's happening off screen and everything that's supposed to happen. Now, this is an adaptation, so it's especially difficult to adapt a cartoon show because it's so colorful and so weird, but I believe they were able to successfully adapt One Piece, which also is another cartoon. Netflix. And that show was loved by fans, which usually doesn't happen when you adapt a cartoon to live action. It usually does not happen, but people love that show because the creators was involved along the way. Now, this show was first announced in 2018, which is a long time ago. Yeah. And in 2020, the creators of the original show and the showrunners left for creative differences, and boy, I could tell you why. This movie does a lot of way with character developments that made some characters people's favorites. It made away with certain scenes and dialogues and actions that gave
for better or for worse, you think?
For both better and worse. It also added some good things. So there's some characters. So in my opinion, if you're going to adapt something that's already in a cartoon like The Lion King, I recommend to add things to flesh out certain aspects that were not fleshed out, that had potential, but because of the cartoon or budget, they could not flesh it out. In this movie, they did with some characters like Uncle Iroh, who's everyone's favorite old man in any cartoon ever. He is a great wise uncle to the main bad guy, who's his moral compass. Our main character, Zuko, is scarred both mentally and physically from actions that his father made, and he is trying his best to win honor without realizing that he has someone in his life who cares for him no matter what he's done or what he is, and accepts for who he is. And he was a very important character in the TV show, in the cartoon, and also in this show. He's the best part of this. Uncle Iroh, I know you, my fans for Uncle Iroh, love him, leave a like for him, but the rest of the cast,
I love how you keep pointing down, the camera's there.
All you guys in hell who love this show more than the original one. Right now, the rest of the characters, Johnny, they are Temu versions of the cartoon show. Their acting is very stiff. No. They do not have no chemistry. They act like this is the first time they've
But why are they so well in press junkets?
Because a lot of those people have never seen the cartoon and they've only seen the Avatar movie that Shyamalan made, which is an atrocity in the front to God. That when you compare it, honestly, I did see the original Shyamalan movie before I saw the TV show, And if you watch it like that back to back, the TV show looks like an Oscar nominated or a Grammy nominated TV show. It's that good.
It might be Emmy.
It's only
nominated.
a TV show, and the quality of it is so good. Now, it doesn't cover as much content as the movie did, because the movie tried to fit an entire season in a 2-hour movie. This show only does the first half of the first season, smartly pacing. But even though it does only half, it somehow feels slower. It somehow feels also more rushed at the same time. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like you're watching something in slow-mo and fast-forward at the same time.
That's weird. I think it has to do something with Netflix, and because you know how Netflix is out of the blue will cancel something. Yes. Can you imagine, like, out of nowhere, it's like, hey, guys, we have 5 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender for Netflix, and then after season 2, they just cancel it. They do that stuff all the time. Do you know how well it's been doing on Netflix?
From what I've heard, it has been one of the most watched shows. It had more viewers than the One Piece, which was already highly praised. It is one of their highest. Netflix is not very keen in sharing their statistics.
Anything.
But they have.
Can't even share passwords anymore.
That's very true. But the one thing they will share is when something's doing pretty good. They're not going to give you specifics, but they will share and brag to other streamers that, hey, our show is doing amazing. And at the same time, the only reason I wanted to do good is because the original creators are still working on another project for for Netflix. God, I hope this never touches this.
One day.
You're right. They're working on a continuation of the original cartoon show. Mm-hmm. So the cartoon show ended, and there was a spinoff called Legend of Korra, which didn't do as good as the original. Yeah. It was pretty badly received, but some people loved it. But people always want a continuation of the original characters and what they do after they save the world. Spoiler alert. So they're still working on that, and I'm hoping that the success of this show is going to help fund more the next project, which is animated like the original team.
Let's see, man.
And the original voice actors, because right now this TV show is something that is perfect, like a lot of other Netflix shows, where you put it in the background while you're doing chores or you're working and not directly engaging with the content, because most of it is just talking anyway. So you can almost listen to a podcast in that way.
Dang.
Yes, sorry, I said what I said.
So it's like mixed. You're very mixed on it.
I am. I'm not trying. Like I said, I am biased because I love the TV show, and when you're watching the live action and you remember how they did that specific scene in the cartoon and how it was done much better, it's very difficult to separate that and take it for what it is. If you've never seen the cartoon show, I've only seen a couple episodes, I feel like you could probably enjoy more than I can. So I recommend, when you have time, put it in the background, watch some of it, and it could be a good leeway that once it says it's done and it says continue watching, maybe it will autoplay the cartoon show and it'll be easier to get into. And that's the only reason.
This episode was adapted from Book of Fire.
Exactly.
Episode 2. I don't know if that's a thing.
There's a Book of Fire. That's the third.
Is there?
That's the third season. There's 3 seasons. Season 1, Book of Water. Season 2, Book of Earth, and season 3, Book of Fire. And if this season is gonna cover, this Netflix live action is gonna cover all of the Avatar, it's gonna take about, like you said, 5 seasons to do so, because the first season was only the first half of the first season. So.
Dang, bro. Yeah, I'll be getting into it, man. On my end, TV-wise, I am watching on a weekly basis, the final season of The Bad Batch on Disney Plus.
I've been trying to catching up on that recently with my nephew.
Really?
We're in season 2 right now.
What's he think? What's your nephew think?
He actually likes it. He doesn't like Star Wars stuff at all, but The Bad Batch, he likes it because of the big brute. I forgot his name. Because of Wrecker. He doesn't like the little girl. He doesn't like
Omega.
He does not like Omega at all. And a weird accent. He also loves I forgot the sniper dude's name who turns tail.
Crosshair.
Crosshair. He loves Crosshair as well. Right now we're in the episode where they head to the island that's like supposed to be like Hawaii or something like that, where they're going on a vacation. It's in the second season. We haven't started this third season yet, but it's a pretty fun show.
I feel like that's like the first episode of season 2.
No, actually, it's towards the end. It's around episode like 10 or something like that.
Oh, okay, then never mind. Because I know in the first season there's like an island where people would go on vacation. It's like big crab monsters.
I think we've actually passed that already. Yeah.
Okay, so you're good then. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far, but it's not my favorite Star Wars. The first season I enjoyed. The second season I was hit or miss on, and this season I'm watching because it's a final season. I'll tell you what I enjoy about Bad Batch and why. What it's doing to the Star Wars sequels. What it's doing is sort of what the Clone Wars did for the prequels, where many people who were against the prequels, the Clone Wars, they were able to rally them back and admire the prequels because there was a lot more backstory behind it, more character development for Anakin Skywalker, and introduce Ahsoka, right? And so what Bad Batch is doing is that Palpatine is a big player, and it's starting to trickle some breadcrumbs on the path toward the sequel trilogy as to how Palpatine came to be. That line of dialogue in Rise of Skywalker where Poe Dameron goes, somehow Palpatine's returned, they're trying to retcon it and explain how. Okay. Now, I think Mandalorian and some other Disney Plus shows, they're also trying to do that. But Bad Batch, I believe, is going to be the start of where this all stemmed from, because they have the Kaminoans and cloning and how Palpatine has been very involved with them for a project that they call Necromancer. That's all we know so far.
Pretty on the nose right there.
That's all we know so far.
I'm sorry. I just kind of find it very funny that we're having such great TV shows trying to solve a bad plot point in a movie that people have lambasted and made tons of media just around how bad it was, and mostly because of a single line. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Palpatine's returned.
Other storylines and other shows just to explain it. And like your point is very much just like the Clone Wars TV show that pretty much, in my opinion, salvaged the prequels.
100%. It saved the prequels.
In some people's eyes, a lot of people from our generation that grew up with the prequels, that was our Star Wars, they view the prequels now thanks to the impact that Ahsoka and her inclusion of the Clone Wars and Rex and all those guys, they view now the prequels as underrated, as the best Star Wars they've had since the original ones.
Correct.
And I'm hoping that the Bad Batch and Mandalorian and the rest of these shows will eventually do the same thing for the sequels.
For the sequels, I think it will.
I think so.
I don't think it's going to be tomorrow.
It's going to take a long time.
It took a long time for the prequels.
Close to 20 years.
I think I was getting ready to graduate high school when I heard my first. I actually like Phantom Menace. I was about to graduate high school, so it took a long time. Yeah. I think it's going to happen with the sequels. It's going to be hard, though, because I'm not a fan, dude. It's such an inconsistent trilogy. And even though I'm watching The Bad Batch and I'm enjoying it, it's like, it's a lot of work to do, guys. It's a lot of work to do, Disney.
They have a lot of heavy lifting to do. They better be getting them gains, okay?
No, 100%. The one thing I don't like about Bad Batch, though, is it does at times feel like Adventure of the Week. Like just the last episode, for example, it was this thing where they needed to get off of a planet to go to another planet, and they're like, it's going to be 30,000 credits. It's like, where am I going to get 30,000 credits? And then they go and find an obscure job, and that's the episode, and they get the money. It's stuff like that, and it's like, I didn't even have to watch this week. And that's the only bad thing.
It feels very classic Saturday morning cartoons where I feel those episodes are made that if anyone's new coming up or if you skip it, you're not really going to miss too much because it doesn't add much to it. Sometimes you need these inconsequential episodes to pad out the wrong time. But I feel like this show could probably, like something the original Star Wars show also had, the original cartoon Clone Wars had. But once it came to Netflix, it had shorter seasons where they were able to do tighter storylines with Ahsoka getting framed for the bombing in the Jedi Temple and all that stuff. And it was able to cut off the fat and focus on things.
But the Clone Wars had that too. The Clone Wars had a lot of fat.
It did, but it was for world building for a place that we all wanted to love. Yeah. Right now, we still need to love more of what the Bad Batch included because a lot of the characters...
You don't love Rey?
I love Rey. She is my new... Rey for me is the new Master Yoda.
The real Skywalker.
She's the real Skywalker. Those other punks who are dead in the sand, they're not dead, but she's alive standing on top.
That's
she's
it.
The real
Rey Skywalker, baby.
I can't wait for her, the new movie where she's going to
Which is, I don't even know if it's going to happen anymore.
It's going to happen, and she's going to give birth to reincarnation of Kylo Ren. We all know that's what's going to happen. Okay? It's written in the books, the Jedi text. That's why Yoda wanted to destroy them.
Page turners, they were not.
Very much page burners, they were.
Oh, dude, that's funny. Danny, let's end our time here with Madam Web.
Oh, God.
because I think we can go on for like 10 minutes or so.
Yes, sir.
On Madam Web. What a time that was. I'm going to say this, Danny. We feel the same but different. The same in that it was horrible.
I agree.
But we feel different because you think it was horrible, and I think it was so bad it's good.
That is very true. I think it was complete waste of time, and I wanted to like it in a way that it was so bad it was good, which I was looking for. But I struggled so much to find anything worthy that is actually considered good. So I really want to hear again, what are your points that make you feel like this is so bad it's good?
Bro, I mean, what are the ingredients that you need for a movie to be so bad it's good? It needs to just be cringe, and in the type of cringe that makes you laugh. And bro, there were cringe moments that cracked me up, bro. Ezekiel Sims being dubbed. What the actual heck?
Okay, also his scenes where he's just walking around in a suit, and then 2 seconds later he has his full body, exact Spider-Man copy, which is completely impractical, and how no one can seem to see him walking in broad daylight, and him the way that they had to cut him between jumping in cars because he obviously couldn't make it.
Madam Web superpower, being able to
vehicular
crash into people.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah, vehicular manslaughter. I like that.
Being annoying and finishing people's sentences, that's very also annoying. Something I want to bring up real quick.
Did you see Sydney Sweeney? She was on SNL.
I did not see her.
Did you hear what he said?
No, what
he was like, "Hi, my name is Sydney Sweeney. You probably know me from Anyone But You, now in theaters. You might even have seen me on Euphoria, but you definitely have not seen me on Madam Web."
Okay, I'm happy that she took that like a champ. A lot of actors sometimes try to distance themselves from flops and projects, but I'm glad that her and Dakota Johnson are having fun with it.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson's press junkets, bro. I still find myself on Instagram seeing them.
They were more entertaining than the actual film.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. A lot of Marvel characters, like from what I've seen, most of the press junkets that go viral are the ones in Marvel movies, whether it be Tom Holland or Anthony Mackie or other people just poking fun and having fun with each other. They enjoyed what they were doing or they were filming. Dakota Johnson.
I don't know if they did. I think they enjoyed going around doing the interviews.
That's true.
Maybe not at first. I think they took it serious at first, and then they kind of got the gist of it and said, let's just have fun with these interviewers. And that's what happened. I don't think they were having fun during that movie. I think you could see that during the movie. There was no fun being had. There's no chemistry between any of them. And you said this joke when we came out of the movie that cracked me up. I'm not going to tell it, but hopefully you remember it, where it was about the scene in the taxi where she's yelling at the kids like, shut up, I don't even want to be here. What did you say about that?
I forgot what I said about that. Was it something like, man, she's speaking for all of us?
No, you said, I don't think she knew the cameras were rolling.
Oh yeah, I remember that. She said, she was just talking to the actual actresses, not the characters,
Shut up, I don't even want to be here. And you said, yeah, I don't think she knew the cameras were rolling. That's her actually just speaking to the actresses.
It was her improvisation, and they said, oh, perfect, Dakota, perfect. She's like, yeah, that's what I meant to do. Sure, yeah, let's keep that in there rolling. This movie was cut to hell.
Bro, a post-production nightmare.
I'm more interested in seeing the behind-the-scene documentary of how this movie was made. I feel like this movie is going to have a what happened type of docu-series that's going to come out on either Netflix or HBO. That's going to be critically acclaimed for a horror disaster this was. Yeah. Because this movie was edited by Edward Scissorhands himself. How bad cut it is. It is so bad that it's impossible not to notice. Because sometimes in certain movies, you get so immersed that you can't tell when cuts or editing mistakes are made or continuity is broken. Because there's a whole department for that. In this movie, those people were let go. They were fired. Yeah. This movie was made, and I feel like it was made in the last 6 months during the writer's strike. Yeah. And they just finished it and said, whatever.
They gave the job to the equivalent of Bob from Deadpool 2. They gave it to him.
I feel like even having a human element would have been better. I feel like they use ChatGPT. This is the reason we're having these ginormous...
It does feel like a ChatGPT movie.
In so many ways. Okay, first off, how are you going to write a character that her whole point is saving people and helping people, but then because that's what she is.
She's a paramedic.
She's a paramedic, and her whole job is to save people, and we've seen her go above and beyond to save others and risk her life. But then when she is in charge of taking care of 3 girls, she doesn't care about leaving them in the woods in the middle of nowhere where anyone can happen to find them and God knows what could happen. Or when it comes to just being sympathetic with these girls who are being traumatized because she kidnapped them technically. Yeah. So in a way, she's sort of like the villain in this movie because of her actions.
I can see that. She is sort of a villain in this movie. I don't think she even grows.
No.
Bro, the cringe lines in this movie are hilarious. One of the ones that I love is toward the end where she goes, I can see you guys in the future. And you know what they say about the future? You never know when it's going to come. What? It's something like that. But I'm like, what?
She was reading a script that had a bunch of coffee stains in it, and it was all redacted. She was just making points up.
When you accept your responsibility, great power will come.
They twisted their back so hard to make that work. They got scoliosis.
That's the ChatGPT part of this movie where it feels like, here's my horrible script for Madam Web. Can you put Peter Parker Easter eggs? Actually, can you put Peter Parker and PepsiCo Easter eggs?
Yes.
Somewhere in there? And the movie has them all over the place. They are obsessed with Peter Parker Easter eggs.
It's sometimes in these movies, one or two is best because it keeps you wanting for more. But over here, they overfeed you so much that you're gonna be more stuffed than we were before seeing Hellboy. Where you just want to throw up because you were sick, literally physically sick of all the in your face Peter Parker maybe not references because we can't say it because technically it's under contract with Marvel. But even though other movies we've said his name multiple times, so we're just going to pop a balloon so you don't hear his name, or we're gonna be saying Ben is gonna be an uncle who loves being an uncle because there's no responsibility of like being a parent. God, it was so in your face, it gave me a black eye. Okay?
Yeah, or the part where Emma Roberts is about to say Peter, and then right where she says the balloon pops.
Real quick,
if
you guys seen that movie, tell me how weird that whole scene is about Emma Roberts' character, Mary Parker, having a baby shower. And for some reason, the only two characters in that scene who are allowed to talk are her and Dakota Johnson's character. She has a whole entourage of women there who none of them have ever anything to say, and they're just there for window dressing.
It's a horrible movie, Danny, but I would watch the movie again.
Really?
I would, but we would have to have a good time.
I get what you're saying, and I'm down for that. And I believe that those characters, halfway through filming the movie, they thought themselves that too. Because you could definitely tell as the movie went along that their given F meter was going all the way down to nose diving.
What are your thoughts on Spider-Man? And here he comes.
Whoa, here he comes. Right now, I feel like this movie tarnished Spider-Man a little bit.
Spider-Man?
Yes.
I think the Sony Spider-Verse, but not Spider-Man.
Fair enough. Sony Spider-Man right now is going to be in a bad view. I feel like they have to bring their A game. I feel like after seeing this, Tom Holland already said that he was thinking of doing a retirement, or not retirement, but a quick
I heard about that.
Sabbatical from acting.
Which is okay.
And perfectly fine. But after seeing that, I don't know if he was going to come back.
Bro, Sydney Sweeney thought she was in an MCU movie.
So
did you see the press interview before Madam Web came out?
Yes.
And the interviewer goes, "You're in the MCU now. How do you feel?" And she's like so excited.
That guy is such a douche for doing that. He got her hopes up only for her to realize.
You think he did it on purpose?
I think he didn't know. I think
he didn't know. Yeah.
I think some press junkets legit don't even know where they're going. Like, hey, who am I going to interview? Sydney who? Sydney Sweeney Todd for who? For Madam Web. Oh my God, Madam Web. Is that Spider-Man's mom? Yeah, let's go film it. Let's go ask her. Some people believe that. You know, did you hear the news that Dakota Johnson fired her agent after the first trailer was released for this movie?
That's great.
That is great, but at the same time, I still feel so bad for
I hope it replenishes their career in a funny way.
You think so?
I don't know, but I hope it does.
Well, in the same we already have her doing another
Sydney
movie.
Sweeney's fine. She's a big star now.
She has
Dakota
a lot
Johnson,
more chances.
I think she'll be okay, but she needs to do a role to get herself out of there. And then who's the other one? Isabella Merced. She's gonna be Hawk Girl in the Superman movie. And then the other one, I forget her name, the niece of J. Jonah Jameson. She's gonna be in like another movie. They're fine. They're fine. But I'm gonna be honest, bro. Watching Madam Web, I never wanted a Coke so bad in my life.
I feel you. Just seeing that made me want Pepsi stock prices to collapse. I wanted them to find a rat in one of their containers and shut down because they single-handedly funded this movie, and you could tell because a lot of movies, they use product placement in subtle ways because they help fund the movie and they had to show some way of putting them in the movie to let them know of how this got made. But they do it in a way that's not too in your face. But this movie goes above and beyond and makes a parody of itself, where it goes either like literally.
They're all in suits in flashbacks or flash forwards for 5 seconds.
Do we see more Pepsi logos than we see the characters in their costumes?
Yes.
It is so
That's
bad.
not even a lie.
Madam Web did not defeat Ezekiel Sims. The girls did not defeat Ezekiel Sims. It was corporate greed.
It was capitalism.
Capitalism that defeated the bad guy.
It's a symbol. Like, what's his name? Spider-Punk says in Across the Spider-Verse. It's a symbol for capitalism.
Literally on the nose that a Pepsi Cola sign fell, and that feels like such a classic 70s thing to do, like in a parody movie where he died by a sign falling on him. And this movie really felt like it was written like if it was released in 1970s, because a sign falls on top of him and kills him. That's happened since the 1990s Ninja Turtle movie.
He should have just fell off of a skyscraper.
See, that would have been better. And then we cut to black before we see anything. We never even hear him splash.
And Bruce Willis is there for some reason.
That would have made a lot more sense than what we got. And can you tell me? I have a quick question. How did she become? I want you to answer me.
Okay.
How you remember? How did she become her classic Madam Web? Paralyzed from the waist down, blind. How did that happen? Can you explain to the audience how she became blind and paralyzed?
To answer your question, Danny, the way she gets paralyzed is because a firework hits her eyes.
But does it hit her while she's on top and they're blowing up?
In the water.
In the water. She's in the water. So if fireworks goes in the water, it has enough trajectory to hit her eyes and blind her.
What can I say?
But how did she become paralyzed?
From the power of a scriptwriter. It's in the script. That's why.
You know what I think happened? I think that during that film scene, she was like, she read it. She was so stupid. She refused to move. She's like, I'm not leaving.
Like a Blade situation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna open my eyes.
I'm not open my they said I'm not even gonna move. So they just said, fine, we'll carry you and put her in a wheelchair to move around, because Dakota Johnson refused to move anymore in the set.
This happened to work as the character's in a wheelchair.
And she was like, that actually works.
That is hilarious.
That's how they did it. And then the ending scene, Jonathan, where they flash forward to see what she sees.
That's where the future quote came in.
That CGI for most of the characters' costume was okay. It was fine. It was murky. But when they showed her floating in the background like an edit, like a TikTok edit of a ghost following you.
Horrible.
It was so amishly bad. It was legit, not even like, it was disrespectful how bad it was. Like I'm pretty sure there was people in our theater who were trying not to laugh so hard.
Yeah, it's not good. And
they came up and they said, this is how we end it. We don't even give a crap anymore.
Yeah.
Just chip it. We lost our money. I'm going to go to Bangkok for 5 weeks. Okay. That's what they said.
That's Madam Web, ladies and gentlemen, and our thoughts on Madam Web. Danny, we're going to move on to the last section of the show. We're going to kind of do a lightning round for this one. We've been here for a while. Loving it, though. So the next segment, it's called Pop Quiz, bro, because this is where a rival's going to come and maybe bite you in the butt. And so, Danny, here are the rules. Oscar trophies right here. You get 5 right, all of them right. I give you this trophy. You look at the camera. You give your Oscar speech, whatever you want to say.
Okay.
You get 3 right. I would say you're a fan of this movie. You're safe. 4 right, true fan. You're safe. If you get only 1 right, 2 right, or 0, you got to look at the camera and say you're a poser. Hopefully the camera doesn't die.
I accept the challenge.
All right. Danny, you ready? Question number 1 for Arrival, your favorite movie. The film opens with Louise Banks narrating a story to her daughter, Hannah, over a montage of memories depicting their time together. What does Louise talk about in their narration? Is it weaknesses and strengths, challenges and opportunities, failures and achievements, or beginnings and endings?
LBD, beginnings and endings.
Hey, you got it. 2, Louise travels to the landing site of the alien ship in Montana and begins work on communicating with the heptapods. She makes little progress deciphering their verbal exchanges, then has a breakthrough when she tries something different. What is it that she tries? Is it she begins to read to the aliens from a book? She explores their written communication. She plays recordings of the aliens backwards, or she puts on a television program for the aliens.
I would say it's B.
Correct. Let's get it, Danny. 3, Louise and Ian formally introduce themselves to the heptapods and learn that they have names too. For convenience, Ian suggests naming them after a famous comedy duo. What comedy duo is that?
Abbott and Costello.
Hey, you got it. Didn't even need multiple choice. Number 4. You're safe now. You're safe. Number 4. Weber forces the Montana team to ask their heptapods the big question. which is, what is your purpose on Earth? Well, how does Luis translate the heptapod's response?
Weapon.
I'll give it to you. Offer weapon.
Offer weapon. Oh.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, though. I'll give it to you. That was good. Last one. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's see if you get 5 for 5. At the film's climax, what we believe to be flashbacks are actually revealed to be what? Flashbacks, flash forwards, an alternate reality, or parallel cross-cutting?
Flash forwards.
Yo, Danny boy, you got 5 out of 5, bro. You are a true fan of this movie, my friend. Here is your Oscar. Look at the camera as the award music begins, and you got about 50 seconds to give your Oscar speech.
First, I want to thank Denis Villeneuve for getting me to love and respect films. You have ushered me into a whole new genre of entertainment, and more than entertainment, but of life-changing, life-altering, life-thinking avenue. I hope that you continue doing great work. I hope that you continue to make sure that your vision speaks through your films and not let Hollywood hogtie you to a single money-making machine. And I hope that you continue to make the Dune movies. I hope you adapt all of them. I'm sorry if you don't want to become attached to the only Dune, but you are doing such a great job. If you could just please, I'll give you this, okay? Davis Oscar.
A plastic trophy.
It's worth more than that. It has all my love and hope for you to continue adapting the rest of the Dune franchise. Before I die, I will love you forever, and I will sing your praises on top of the mountains. Please, Denis Villeneuve, for your boy. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for watching this podcast and appreciating it. And if you have time, make sure to watch it, okay? Watch Arrival.
Hey, let's get it. The camera died right at the end of your speech, which is great. That's awesome. But the audio is still continuing right on time because the podcast is ending anyway. I'm happy that we got to get your speech on camera.
Thank you.
Danny boy, it is time to end the podcast. Is there anything you want to plug in? If people who enjoyed your takes, enjoyed your reviews on all the films that we talked about, and they say, man, I like this guy. I want to see what this guy is up to. What do they have to do to find you?
All you got to do is follow me on Instagram at Tales of DA. That is Tales_of_DA. This upcoming week, I'm going to be going to Puerto Rico with some family. So I'm going to be posting a lot of beautiful scenery, a lot of beauty from my culture and my home island. It's going to be beautiful. So I highly recommend you follow me and share. Also, when I come back and watch more of my favorite movies, I'm going to be posting about them, giving them updates, and taking a page from our boy John here and putting some quick reviews on what I think. But if you want to just have a good time and enjoy beautiful scenery and look at delicious food that you could be eating too, make sure to follow me at Tales of DA at Instagram.
Bro, I've been wanting to go to Puerto Rico for so long now. It's been like 10 to 12 years since the last time I went to Puerto Rico. And I really want to go, bro. Oh, my God. I just want to see the mountains again.
Yes, sir.
And eat
and
the
beaches.
food,
yes,
bro.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Ah, la fritura.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you're going to eat?
The first thing I'm going to eat is going to be one of my aunt's famous arroz con pollo guisado y habichuelas con tostones de ajo. Now, I've learned how to make that myself here, recipes, but it's just not the same.
It ain't the same.
When they make it with home ingredients that they grow, Lord Jesus, help my waistline. It is going to be so good.
Bro,
that's what I'm going to be eating.
There is a place in Puerto Rico I saw on Instagram. It's in El Campo.
Of course.
And they sell these frituras, sorry. It's an alcapurria de arroz con salchicha.
Okay, I'm gonna have to bring 5 of them here through customs. Hopefully, they allow me bring back to here to Florida.
How many calories do you think that is?
It's gonna break the meter. You don't even want to look at it because just looking at how many calories it has is gonna raise your blood pressure.
For those of you that don't understand Spanish, what that is rice with Vienna sausages encased in like batter and then fried.
Yes, sir. That's how we do it in Puerto Rico, man. You take anything that you eat here,
it's not
we fry
batter, right?
it.
No, what's alcapurria? What is that alcapurria made out of?
It's made out of yuca.
Is it yucca?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so.
I could be wrong.
It's a type of plant that you fry. a lot of things that we eat are plants that we're deep fried with various amounts of meats, cheese, and pastries,
and
everything. Oh, very much, very much.
Danny, I have to get you on for a more than just movie segment where we can talk about Puerto Rico and all the food we eat and why we're gonna die young.
When I'm back, I'm gonna bring you all the crazy stories I could do, and I'm gonna try to bring some souvenirs, maybe some recipes, because I'm very excited to go back again to immerse myself in my culture where I was born and raised. So,
yes, sir.
You guys again want to follow that journey and see what's all about? Make sure to follow me at Tales of DA in Instagram, and you'll get to explore that firsthand with me.
Hey, brother, on my end, if you guys want to continue watching or at this point listening to the Man of Movies podcast, you can find me anywhere that podcasts are available. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all that good stuff. You'll find me there, and video formats on YouTube, the Man of Movies podcast. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, make sure you rate 5 out of 5 and leave your reviews. Danny, bro, I love doing this with you. It's so different just because we got to actually record us doing this, but we do this all the time, and we do it for a lot longer.
Pretty much.
And a lot more over the place, too.
Yep.
This was more organized than how we do it, right? And, but yeah, brother. Hey, I appreciate you being here, bro. Truly. And let's maybe have some lunch.
Yes, sir. Sounds
Let's
good.
get it, bro.